So to share mine, I hit present,
Yeah, present. Yep.
present, share
Yeah.
screen,
Yep.
share screen.
I'm glad we all three got together. I didn't know if we all three was gonna be able to get together tonight. So I'm glad. I'm so glad.
I'm pretty much. I'll just throw this out there. I'm pretty much always available
Mm-hmm.
during the week, right up until like I said, I leave out the door around 8:30, 8:45, or something like that. But I'm pretty much, Lord willing, always available to do a lesson in the evening because I ain't doing nothing else.
All right, brother.
So yeah.
We live, man. We live. So give me a second, bro.
Okay.
All right, Shalom. We want to start off with giving all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh, by Hashem,
Rakakwadash.
to double honor to the apostles and the bishop elders, a great millstone for teaching us this word, for truth, sincerity, and for ruling well. And salutations to our fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching and prophesying in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Hey, I'm a brother Kabar YAHAWADAH.
This is the brother Kahanallah.
This is Arya Al YAHAWADAH.
We the brothers from GMS Hawaii, and this is our weekly installment on different topics regarding our people, regarding prophecy, regarding the things that are going on. Hey, next week, the brother Arya Al, make sure we're gonna continue with your 3-part series.
Khan.
Next week. Yeah, God. Next week, Lord willing, we here next week.
Lord willing, yeah.
Behind to get it next week after you, and then Lord willing, I'll pick it up after there. So just brothers, be on the lookout for that. We did part 1 installment of deforestation, what Esau was doing. So I think next week we're gonna go into about how he affects the air. If you ever get a chance to watch that documentary, a little bit of that documentary I sent you, brother.
Oh yes, Khan.
Yeah,
Khan.
yeah, it was heavy. It was heavy.
Very heavy.
You want to look out for that. So today's topic is entitled "Sovereignty Will Only Be for Israel." And what inspired this topic, I was having a conversation with Elder Mwatazak from the LA camp. He's our regional head, and I was talking to him about. I asked a question about sovereignty, and my question was: Are these other nations going to have sovereignty because they're going to get their kings back? They're going to get their lands back, for the exception of Edom, but they're going to get their lands back. And obviously, the elder told me like, no. The only ones going to be sovereign is us. And so I looked up the definition of sovereignty and sovereign. Because you got these movements within America called sovereignty movements. Different groups like here in Hawaii, they have a sovereignty movement about Hawaii. I mean, in Hawaii, mainly on the Big Island, where these people protest about basically taking Hawaii back in control of its own and becoming its own nation again and being sovereign again. But in reality, Hawaii could never be sovereign because they're not in a position to make the rules for themselves and govern themselves, because Esau is all in it. Even if they reinstated the throne today or tomorrow, it'll be an Edomite woman sitting on the throne, not a Hawaiian woman. And they probably call her Hawaiian because she's half. Her mother is Hawaiian, but her father's an Edomite, and she don't care about the Hawaiian people. You know what I mean? She's a multi-billionaire. I think the bitch still alive. She's like 90, almost 100.
She died.
Oh, she died.
She died.
When she died?
You talking about Princess Kanana Ko or something like that? Oh man, she died about 2 months ago.
Oh shit, I didn't even know that. So there you go.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow, here it is right here. It says funeral for Princess Abigail Kawana Nicole.
Yeah, that's her. Yep.
Yeah, this demon right here. Damn, you learn something new every day. Oh, she died in 2022. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. She died in December.
Yeah, that was December, January, February, March, April, May. Oh, that was more than 2 months ago. What I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like almost 7 months ago.
Wow.
I didn't know that. And that was quiet. They normally would have that shit all over the news. You know what I'm saying? But this Edomite, she's a devil. This Edomite, her forefather is an Edomite, and she was adopted by her grandmother into the royal family via her grandmothers who were also Edomites, who were of half Edomite heritage. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, her grandmother, when you look up Abigail Kwana Nakoa, and we'll get to the topic, she was first of all, she was a lesbian. You know,
Definitely.
she had no children. So you know how these Edomites are, they wicked by nature. You know, and the heathen, they're off by nature too. But she was into that. So her parents was her biological mother was Hawaiian, Helen Kamanakea Kawana Nakoa. And she came, and that's how she came into the family line via her grandmother adopting her in. Her grandmother was Abigail Campbell Kawana Nakoa.
Oh.
She married her spouse was David Kawana Nakoa. Was this guy? He was Hawaiian. But she, Abigail Kawana Nakoa, her parents, she was born in the same bedroom as Emma Street Mansion, which had been the birthplace of Princess Kuilani, Kailani. Her father was James Campbell, so she was an Edomite.
Mm-hmm.
And James Campbell, and his family still owns a great deal of land in Hawaii, right? So she got adopted by her grandmother. Her grandmother, which was off of her father's. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this. Her issue was well, her husband was David Kawana Nakoa. He was a Hawaiian. And then they had several kids, you know, and then you have her being adopted by this Hawaiian woman, her grandmother, who was an Edomite that looked like a Gaffite, you know. Yeah. So her grandmother, her adoptive mother, was Abigail Kawana Nakoa. Line of succession. The Kingdom of Hawaii's last two monarchs, Kalakaua and these other people, were childless. Because of this, both monarchs named family members as heirs, including Princess Victoria Kuilani. She was an Edomite too, daughter of Princess Miriam Likelike, sister of the two rulers. At the age of 6, she was legally adopted by her grandmother, Princess Abigail Campbell Kawana Nakoa, in the Hawaiian tradition of Hanai. So yeah, so again, so I don't know who's on the throne now because she ain't had no issues. She ain't had no children because she was gay. Yeah, she was a lesbian.
Yeah.
What of the matter is that these nations, see, this is the reason why these nations can't be in rulership. They can't have sovereignty because they're not righteous. They real quick, can one of you brothers get Psalms 147 and 19, Baba Gashah?
147 and 19. This is Psalms 147 and verse 19.
Oh,
it says
you gotta share it on your screen.
Oh, okay, so 147 and 19. It says, He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord, Yahawah Bashem Al Shai.
Yeah, break it down.
That's right. So the Heavenly Father is only dealing with the nation of Israel, man.
Mm-hmm.
The law, statutes, and commandments were only given unto the nation of Israel, and the other nations He has not dealt with them the same way. You know, the Lord only shows Himself to the nations in wrath, but unto us He showed, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments, which is what to praise Him and ultimately be, you know, His servants, His people. You know, these other nations are not of the Lord, you know, to be holy unto Himself. Only Israel is.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, verse 31. It says, I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion? Or is there any other people that know of thee beside Israel? Or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob? And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor have no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there is also that dwell. Salaki, I ain't sharing the screen. My bad. This is back in second address. Let me read it again, verse 32. It says again, or is there any other people that know of thee beside Israel, or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob? And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labors have no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. Right. So we were talking about the Japhetic people and the Edomites. Neither one of them nations think about the Lord's commandments. The Lord's commandments don't jump into their minds when they're doing their thing. So that's why even when if they have a resemblance of righteousness or trying to call themselves follow after the law, statutes, and commandments, they're always going off. And if they're left alone, they're always going to go off. They're never, because they're out of order. You know, just like Jake is out of order right now. The law, statutes, and commandments bring order unto a nation, chiefly the nation of Israel first. And when these other nations come under our rulership, they're going to have to follow after our law, statutes, and commandments, because their way is evil. Their way is not righteous. Their way is evil. You had something to say?
No,
Me?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought somebody had something to say.
Yeah, I had something real quick.
Go ahead.
I was watching this program on PBS about the Hawaiian people, and I'm working on doing a lesson for it, but it's a lot of research. I just typed in Google, do Hawaiians worship God? Do they believe in God? And the answer is absolutely not. They have so many gods that they worship. The volcano god, you know, the water god, the shark god, you know, and so they definitely no thoughts about Yahawah Shemihao Shai. I mean, they don't even mention Jesus. You know, he gets no play among the Hawaiians from the program I was watching. But as far as like nature and the trees and the water, like I said, the volcano god Pele, you know, that's who they worship. A lot of false gods, and like you said, they just that's what they do. They just go off, you know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of taken aback by it because the program was on for about 2 hours, and the whole time it was on, they didn't even say the word God. They didn't say the word Jesus, but they worship their ancestors, you know, like the dead. They're what they call them, their kapuna.
And
You
what
know,
Jake be talking that shit about the ancestors, you know?
yeah. My daughter,
Yeah.
my daughter bugged out, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. This is you had something to say, Khan?
No, I was gonna say that these other nations and even Jake, that's what they
Hmm.
like. They like to have a sense of righteousness, so they say they believe in the God of the Bible, but they actually, idol worshiping these other, idols, whether it be the Hawaiians with their nature gods, or Jake with their, you have Jake Gad that worships all these gods of nature, and all of our people, they worship, whether it be Islam or Catholic gods or idols, so it's just like having a sense of righteousness, but really not according to the word of the Most High, but according to their own mind.
Yeah. And then like when it come to them Hawaiians, me and the brother Kahan, we had a visit. One of the brothers had visited. Yeah, I forget the brother's name. He used to prophets of Babylon some time ago, and we took that brother to the Bishop Museum, and they actually got a monument to King Kalakaua, the first or whatever. Not what was it, Kalakaua? No, I don't know that nigga name. Kamehameha, King Kamehameha.
Yeah.
They were talking about how like he didn't believe in the Bible, like he didn't want that. He'd rather worship his idols. You know what I'm saying? He didn't believe, like Esau brought him the Bible. You know how the missionaries do, and they try to put white supremacy into his mind, which it got in there, but he'd rather worship his idols than the Bible. Why is that? Because his spirit is not likened unto the Bible. The words of the Bible don't fit him, just like they don't fit Esau. You know, but Esau's a robber and a thief, so he steals nations' things and takes them upon himself. And even in this book that I have called Overthrow, I always bring this book out. I got it posted. But I have this book called right here, Overthrow. Right? This book right here, how them Edomites got into power. Yeah. This book right here is called Overthrow. It says 100 America's century of regime change from Hawaii to Iraq. And on page 15, it says Kalakawa's inability to resist these impositions showed how fully the Hawaiian monarchy had come under white control. Whites reached this position not overnight, but through a steady series of steps. Williams Adam Rush wrote that they slowly and imperceptibly wormed their way year by year into the king's favor until they were the power behind the throne, controlling the business and wealth of the islands. They became the dominant minority amongst a people who only a few years before had welcomed them as visitors. And so just like Esau, he uses them smooth words, the wars in his heart. He do that with everybody. He started it with the Israelites. Then he started doing that with these other nations. You can read stories about how, Haman tried to do the same thing. He was a plant. He was a Macedonian plant within the Persian monarchy. And his job was to basically get the king's mind, get the king's favor, and to become a ruler, because they were trying to, the Macedonians, the Edomites, they were trying to take down the Persians for a long time, even during the time of King Philip the First, Alexander the Great's father, and they couldn't do it by sheer military might at the time because the Lord wasn't with him. He was with his son, but he wasn't with King Philip. So what the king do? He sent a spy, basically, a double agent.
Wow.
To try to take it over. And that's what that was about. And that's what these Edomites do. You know, they're subtle people. That's why you can't trust them.
Sneaky.
Because they'll take you over. Yeah. It says this is the same page. The same page. It says a few years later, King Kalakala approved a constitution that secured, matter of fact, I'll start right here. It says growing sugar is labor intensive, but neither whites nor native Hawaiians were willing to work in the fields. And you see these heathens, they ain't gonna do the grunt work. So a lot, just also go back to how they brought the Ephraimites, the so-called Puerto Ricans over here to do this kind of grunt work. The Filipinos, Japanese over here to do that grunt work. It says after considering several alternative, planners began importing Japanese and Chinese laborers, whom they call coolies. They came by the thousands after the reciprocity treaty was signed that strengthened the planters' opposition to democracy, since universal suffrage would most likely have produced a government dominated by non-whites. The reciprocity treaty was a term of eight years, and when it expired, sugar growers from Louisiana tried to block its renewal. This greatly alarmed Hawaiian planters whose fortunes depended on it. They arranged for King Kalakaua, who had fallen almost completely under their influence, to make a further concession. They renewed the treaty, including a clause giving the United States control over Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu, the finest natural port in the Northern Pacific. A few years later, King Kalakaua approved a constitution that secured the planters' power. It vested most authority in cabinet ministers, prohibited the monarch from dismissing any ministers without legislators' approval, and set wealth and property qualifications for election to the legislature, called the Bayonet Constitution. Because of it, it was imposed with an implied threat of armed force. It also gave all Americans and Europeans, even non-citizens, the right to vote, but denied the right to Asian laborers. Its authors was Lorraine Thurston, which they have a street called Thurston Street out here. After Kalakaua reluctantly accepted it, planters told him he also had to accept Thurston as the interior minister. Kalakawa's inability to resist these impositions showed how fully the Hawaiian monarchy had come under the white control, which they're not white, they're Edomites. Edomites reached this position not overnight, but through a steady series of steps. Williams Adam Rush wrote that they slowly and imperceptibly wormed their way year by year into the king's favor until they were the power behind the throne, controlling the business and wealth of the islands. They became the dominant minority among a people who only a few years before had welcomed them as visitors.
Wow.
And so, you know, they just, and that's how these Edomites roll. So they just wicked all across the board, you know. But these Hawaiians, they got to give their leaders, their old monarchs, the blame for them not having sovereignty.
That's right.
You know, just like we have to blame ourselves for our iniquity and sins against YAHAWADAH for not having our sovereignty in this world right now. But the world to come, the Israelites, we're going to be the only sovereign nation on the planet Earth. So yeah, I was going to read that, but this. So again, this is the term sovereignty. So I looked up the definition of sovereignty, or what does sovereign mean, or what is the definition? And it says a supreme ruler, especially a monarch, right? So who's going to be the supreme ruler? YAHAWADAH via King David, as well as the ruling class, elite, the 144,000, 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, 144,000, including King David and the apostles. We're going to be the supreme rulership on the planet Earth under Yahawah, under Yahweh. You know, it says the emperor became, okay, so similar to ruler, monarch, crowned head, possessing supreme or ultimate power. So then I typed in, well, what's the opposite of sovereign? The opposite of sovereign is non-autonomous, captive, subordinate, controlled, subjugated, subservient, submissive. And that's what these kings of these other nations going to be under our leadership. So even though they're going to get their land back after 1,000 years, their kings are going to be subordinates under our kings, you know, under the kings of Israel. And like in their lands, they're going to have their lands, but guess what? It's going to be Israelite kings in that land too, looking over them, teaching them how to put up sacrifices, because they're going to be kings and priests. All right. So in reality, there's not going to be no more sovereignty on this planet except the sovereignty of Israel. Just like today, there's no sovereign nations outside of Esau, but Esau likes to run his kingdom clandestinely, meaning in the background where you don't see the real rulers. But these Edomites got their hand every last nation on the planet Earth. But we're gonna have that. You had something, Khan? Hey, Revelation chapter 20, brother.
Khan, I had this sovereignty, and it says supreme power or authority, and like you were going into, you know, the only nation that has supreme power and authority in today's day and age is the Edomites, you know. And like the lesson, the title of the lesson says sovereignty will only be for Israel. Well, the kingdom of heaven is gonna be what? Sovereignty for our people, man. We're gonna have the supreme power and the supreme authority over all nations. You know, similar words say what? Jurisdiction, which is the laws. You know, so we're gonna push forward what? The laws of Yahawah, you know, supremacy, because we're gonna be, you know, above all nations, and we're gonna get to the precepts that show us what the Lord promised to our forefathers and us, that specifically say that only we will receive these things, man. Dominion, power, you see, tyranny, hegemony, all these
Yeah,
things.
we live in Salakia, brother. We live in a world where it's Edomite hegemony. You see that the money you get, whose face is on that money? Edomites, man. You know what I'm saying? The system that you pay into with this money, who's running it? Edomites, man. They have hegemony on the earth. They call it Western hegemony today, or American hegemony today. But that's Edomite hegemony. Go ahead, brother.
That's right. This is Revelation 1:20 and what? What was that, Salaki?
Start at 7.
Okay. Revelation 20 and verse 7. It says, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea."
And that's where we at today. We're living in this portion that Satan was loose from his prison, which was Europe, which is the bottomless pit, because that place is pretty much barren of real natural resources like that, particularly Britain, the UK, London, that whole area, you know. But and then you got Gog and Magog, that's Russia today, and they're getting ready to do battle against those that are as a number of whom is as the sand of the sea, which is YAHAWADAH, because those are in the Israelites. Those Gog and Magog is an Edomite nation too. But on top of that, it says, "And he shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth." That's what Esau did when he got back in power. He deceived the nations, including the nation of Israel. Right? Now skip to verse I think it's 12. No. That was the end of it. It ends at 15.
Come.
Yeah, no, I'm looking for the after 1,000 years, Yahweh those the dead lived again. Scroll up. Slack. Hold on.
Yeah, on 5.
Okay, yeah. So the way that this precept is written, it jumps around. So you have to just be mindful of that. And I'm gonna show it to you. Hold on. Read it. Read chapter 5. I'm at verse 5. Start at 4.
Revelation 20 and 4, it says, "And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years."
Yeah, that's the elect. That's the elect. The first rulership is going to be under Yahweh Shai, King David, because he's part of the elect, King David, the apostles, and then the rest of the 144,000. And they said we're going to reign with Yahweh Shai 1,000 years. Now, that 1,000 years is going to be consisted of these nations going into hardcore captivity, building up our land of Israel, all right? We putting them into total subjection. That's going to be also the conditioning period where they're going to have to be living by the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shai. We are too, but we're going to have these laws in us. So we ain't going to have to go through what they're going through because we're going through that now. We're in captivity now. All right?
That's right.
And that's that 4,000 years. That's not saying that, oh, these Christians after 1,000 years, these Christians believe that after that 1,000 years, then Satan's going to come back. Then, got to go through this whole process. No. That first 1,000 years is going to be the first 1,000 years of rulership for Israel. Yahweh Shai setting his kingdom up here on the planet Earth, which is going to be a sovereign kingdom under his father. Okay? But it's his kingdom. Also, by default, it's the kingdom of Israel, but it's really the kingdom of Yahweh Shai. He's going to set up Israel on a planet Earth as the supreme rulership, the supreme leader. Go ahead, verse 5.
Verse 5, it says, "But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished."
And the rest. I'm sorry, Salaki.
This
Read
is
it
the
again.
first resurrection. Revelation 20 and 5, "But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection."
So the rest of the dead, meaning these other nations, after they won't be anybody on the earth They won't be in their own land because they're going to be in our land, building our land up, and wherever we at, right? So they're not going to live again. Hold on, I want to see something. I want to see something real quick in the NLT. Can you get that in the NLT, brother?
This in the NLT. It says, "This is the first resurrection. The rest of the dead did not come back to life until the 1,000 years had ended."
Right. So these nations, they're going to be in a dead state. They're not going to be in a lively state. They're not going to be in a state of living anymore. They're going to be, when they say living, it's not talking about dead people and zombies. No, it's talking about these other nations. See, and the dead did not live. That word for live in the interliner is ana anadazo, which it says to live again, to recover, to be restored. So these other nations, they're not going to be restored back to a better. It says of one who returns to a better moral state, because these nations, they're going to be in captivity. They're not going to be in a state of a moral state, a better state in captivity. Or it says to regain strength and vigor. So these nations not going to regain strength and vigor until that 1,000 years is up, that 1,000 years of captivity. All them different nations, including Esau, they're going to be in hardcore captivity. But Esau, he's not going to live after that. All right, he's not going to be in a lively state because he's going to be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be and he don't even have to worry about that because he's not going to get no land either. His land going to Judah. All right, and his land is Mount Seir. The brother had posted this up. GMS shining light by Isaiah 60 and 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. That word minister means serve. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I had mercy on thee. Right. So that's going to be happening during that 1,000-year period. Them nations, they're not going to be sovereign anymore. See, right now these nations, they call themselves, they think themselves, they liken themselves sovereign today. This is the reason why this globalization has happened, and these Edomites are trying to bring a one world government. We have no more sovereignty on the planet. See, in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have a one world rulership. There ain't going to be no sovereignty in the kingdom of heaven for these other nations. They're going to have to follow our laws, statutes, and commandments. But Esau is trying to forge a technical technocracy under the rulership of Satan and these super elite Edomites. You're going to have to live by those governing rules. You know, that one world currency, that one world acceptance of Satan and his laws. And it's going to be the same no matter where you go on this planet. If they had opportunity to have that come to fruition. But that's really relegated for the nation of Israel. We're going to have a one world currency. We're going to have a one world language. We're going to have a one world law, statute, and commandments. So no matter where you go on the earth, you're going to be under the rulership of the Israelites, of the Israelites who are under YAHAWADAH. All right, that's the rulership. So that means there's only going to be one supreme rulership on the earth, which is the nation of Israel, under YAHAWADAH.
Khan, and you know, as you were talking, you know, speaking on that, brother, you know, I was thinking, you know, Esau had to do it in under deception because the Lord didn't give him, you know, any, you know, superhuman power for him to, you know, pretty much do it by force, which ultimately is what the Lord's gonna do with his people. You know, YAHAWADAH is gonna establish Israel, you know, a nation of pretty much gods on the earth, and we're gonna force these nations to follow after the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, man. And they're gonna know, you know, like the other was going into. Esau does everything clandestine, like behind, you know, the curtains. So he has to kind of give a the illusion to these other nations that they have sovereignty, you know. But at the same time, he's putting them in massive debt, and now it's to a point where these nations are waking up to that deception, but it's already too late. Esau got him, you know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna reign in true power. You know, that's why the scriptures say that the saints shall take the kingdom. It
Yeah.
doesn't say that we're gonna
Daniel
negotiate
17.
and there's gonna be a meeting with all these nations and we're gonna come to a conclusion that the best for humanity is to do this. Like, no, we're gonna take the kingdom, meaning what? That the Lord's gonna give us spiritual power to what? To take over these nations, man, and to take pretty much over the world.
Mm-hmm. I got a quick precept.
Bring it out, bro.
Speaking of Esau's deception, because the Lord didn't give him no type of spiritual powers. Psalm 55 verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, and that's that deception. You know, he don't have no strength, but actually his strength is his deception. He lies. You know, it says, I'm gonna read the NLT version. It says his words are as smooth as butter, but in his heart is war. His words are as soothing as lotion, but underneath are daggers. So that's him. He'll come to you all nice and sweet. I love you. I want to be your friend. But behind closed doors, he got daggers. He got his he wants to do you harm. He's a liar. He's a Decepticon. You know,
That's right.
that's his power. If this fool had a cape, if he had a cape like a superhero, on the back of his cape would be a big L for liar, or a D for deception, because that's what he do. That's his strength. He'll tell you right to your face that he wants to help you, but really he wants to kill you, you know, or destroy you, you know.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 7. And the Lord YAHAWADAH, matter of fact, I'm sorry, Slakia. Deuteronomy chapter 28. This is Deuteronomy 28 and matter of fact, Slakia, just bear with me, brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy 28 and 12. And the Lord shall open up unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. Right? Like Esau, he does that in this world. He lends to many nations, but he don't borrow from none of these nations. We're gonna have that power in the kingdom of heaven. That's another sign of sovereignty. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, YAHAWADAH, thy power, thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. Right. So that's where we're going to be at. We're going to be the head and not the tail. When you're a sovereign, you're the head. You're the top brass. No, there's nothing above you except YAHAWADAH. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, though, these other nations, we're going to lend to them. You know, just like Esau lends to these different nations through his lending companies, his banks. We're gonna have a bank. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be called the Bank of International Settlements, but it's going to be the BIS. No. It's gonna be the Bank of Israelite Settlements. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna push them loans out to these nations. That's how they're gonna recover and be able to build up their land, right? Their infrastructure. They're gonna have to come see us. We're not gonna have to come see them. Okay? It's Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord Yahawah and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day. See, in this world, they don't lay any responsibility, neither do they lay importance unto the laws and commandments of the Most High. Right? They think that the Lord's laws is done away with. You just listen to what Esau say, because he's in power. You do what's good in your own heart, because Esau told you to. But in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to do what's commanded unto the Lord. And because of that, the Lord's going to switch the pendulum. These curses, which one of the curses is not being sovereign, is being a tail and not the head. Right? So these nations going to have to go through that. These nations going to have to be in a position where they're jacked up, and they're going to have to pay for their iniquity and their sins that they committed, which is great in number, especially the nation of Edom. And they're going to be forced to follow our laws, such commandments. And if they break them, if they break any of our laws, such commandments, any of the laws and commandments of Yahawah Shai, Salakia, what's going to happen to them? They're going to be dealt with by the strictly and harshly by the fullest extent of the law. They're not going to be under grace. They're not going to have an opportunity to repent from it and get back right. No. If they do something wrong, according to the law, they're going to have to face that judgment. If it's a judgment unto death, guess what they get? Death. If it's a judgment under repayment, guess what they're going to have to do? They have to repay it. Straight up
right.
to them. And why? Because they're not sovereign anymore. Because you've seen what happened when these nations are put in the role of sovereignty. The brother Ariel brings this precept out a lot right here, Job 9 and 24. Right? He likes to bring this out right here. Job 9 and 24. It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is it? So who is the wicked? Esau, Edom is the wicked. So given the opportunity to have sovereignty over the earth, not once, not twice, but shit, 3 times. 3 major times that I could count, as the Greeks, as the Romans, and as the revised Roman rulership, which we're living in today. So you can't say that the Most High is unjust, because you had 3 opportunities to do it. Hey, you struck out, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Strikes and you're out.
You out. 3 strikes, you out of here, man. These other nations, they had an opportunity to rule. You know, the Ethiopians, who are really the Cushites. You know, they were ruling in ancient Babylon via Nimrod, the Assyrians, the Neo-Assyrian Babylonians. They were ruling. They had a chance to rule. Moab, Ammon, Ishmael, all of them had an opportunity to rule the earth at one point in time. And it's all the same outcome. Wickedness, evil. Okay? Right. Detestable things.
Against their own people.
Against their own people, and mainly against us.
Mainly against us. That's right.
Mainly against us, because we always bore the brunt of that shit, man. Whether and that was because of our iniquities. Y'all forget that, not y'all, but people forget that, hey, Moab had us in captivity too for 18 years. 18 years, several times. The Hamites, Matzazarianites, so-called Egyptians, they had us in captivity. Them Phoenicians. Yeah, you're going to have to pay for that. That's why the scripture says, just Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. When you're in captivity, there's no sovereignty for you. Captivity is actually the opposite of sovereignty. And they shall spoil thee, and they that spoil thee will be a spoil. And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So you nations, you preyed upon us. The Lord's going to give you as a prey unto us. It says right here in the NLT, but all who devour you will be devoured. You nations devoured us. You're going to be devoured. All your enemies will be sent into exile. And that exile you come into our land to build it up. All who plunder you will be plundered. You plundered us. We're going to plunder you. And all who attack you will be attacked. So you attacked us. When you go into exile, you go into captivity. You go into slavery. And that's what you nations going into. You got it, brother.
That's right. I had Psalms.
Salakia, brothers. Shalom to the brother Kaya Amaf, man. He's on the comment board, bro.
Shalom, brother. Yeah, about Shalom,
yeah, brother right here, man. Beautiful brother right here. Slap, you got it, brother.
I have Psalms chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, "Why do the heathens rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away the cords from us." And this is what, the heathens have done. They've set themselves up, every one of them, like the other mentioned, all of them had an opportunity to rule, but chiefly the Lord, is gonna put them into captivity. Why? Because they're wicked, and they weren't created to be rulers over the earth. The earth was created for the sakes of the Israelites, and right now we're paying for our sins. But guess what? Through the spirit and power of YAHAWADAH, we receive forgiveness of sins through YAHAWADAH's sacrifice, and we hope that through enduring to the end, we receive what, the rulership, the dominion, and first dibs on the kingdom, man. To do what? To put these nations into captivity and make them pay for what they did unto us. It says, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in their sore displeasure. And this is how the Lord is going to speak to these nations, man, in his wrath. Because these nations believe that they could do everything and anything to the Lord's people, and even speak or blasphemy against the Lord and his son and get away with it, man. Because they really don't think that the Lord's gonna, show his power. But he is. That's why the scriptures say that the Lord's gonna laugh. It says, yet I have set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. And this is speaking about Yahawashi. It says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathens for thine inheritance, and the uttermost part of the earth for thy possession. So as we were going into, sovereignty is only going to be for Israel. Because if you are the possession of another nation of people, you're not sovereign. You're going to have to be a subject unto that nation, man. You're going to have to follow after the rules and everything that they command you to do. And that's part of the blessing that the Lord gave unto Israel, man. That we were gonna have what? Control over the heathens, the nature, the animals, everything, man. It says,
I got a quick preset.
Yep.
Slakia, I'm reading Revelation chapter 2 and verse 27. The NLT version says, they will rule the nations with an iron rod and smash them like clay pots. So when we rule over these people, we're gonna rule them with an iron rod, like the elder brother was saying. If they get out of line, it's gonna be a harsh judgment, up to and including death. Because that's how they've been ruling over us. I saw this video on I believe it was YouTube, where these two police officers was arresting this Jake, had the handcuffs on him and everything. And Jake had a spirit on him. He was just totally submissive, almost like a child. And guess what the Edomite police officer did? He kicked him in the head, And Jake was like just totally submissive. They were telling him to turn over on his belly. And Jake kept responding, I can't, because he had the handcuffs on. And then what the cop do? The cop kicked him in his head, all caught on video. The police officer wound up getting fired. But that's just an example of how they've been ruling over us. I mean, kicked him in the head, damn near kicked his head off, And Jake, and like I said, Jake was being totally submissive. The way they've been ruling over us, we're gonna rule over them the same way, and righteousness though, which is a big difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I got a quick precept, brother. If you go back to Revelation 18. Revelation 18. Revelation 18 and 6. Revelation 18 and 6. It says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double, according
Yes.
to her works. And a cup which she hath filled to her double. Yeah,
That's
so
right,
that's
man.
what you make. Like the brother was going into. Hey, you gonna have to you nations, hey, especially nation Edom, hey, you gonna get double. You gonna get a double portion because when you look at what happened to us in captivity, especially chattel slavery, that was double. Especially after what happened after chattel slavery, you thought it was over. We got double, so then you nations gonna get double. You Edomites, you're gonna get double. Okay, you in the NLT it says do to her as she has done to others, double her penalty. For all her evil deeds, she brewed up a cup of terror for others.
Yes.
So brewed twice as much for her. That's
Mm,
gonna
yeah.
be vicious, man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be vicious. The kingdom of heaven gonna be vicious to you Edomites, man.
That's the iron rod.
Yeah.
You know.
The brother Kayamath, Ecclesiastes 8:11. Because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set and unto evil. Yeah, because Esau know that he ain't gonna get judged to the fullest extent of the law down here. He set him to do evil, and Jake in that mindset too. But
Yes.
we talking about E right now, and these other nations. It says, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feared not the Most High. Right? That devil didn't fear the Most High. You remember during chattel slavery, after chattel slavery, man, if a Edomite was walking by Jake on a road, Jake had to step into the gutter. It was illegal for you to look at Edomite in the eye. They call it eyeballing. You eyeballing me, boy, and you can get in trouble for that. So it was especially for Judah. It was just harsh. It was harsh judgment for our people, and that's going to be the way with the Edomite and all these nations. No heathen nation is going to be able to look an Israelite man or woman or child in the eye ever. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to always look at the ground. When you present yourself, the scriptures speak about this. We're not making this up. Yeah, like the brother said right here, it says you couldn't even laugh. You couldn't even laugh around Esau.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, they had something called a laughing barrel. So Jake had to if Jake wanted to laugh, you had to put your head in a barrel to laugh, man.
What?
Well, the brother said it's a trash can, but it was called. That's where you get a barrel of laughs from. You never heard of that, brother? A barrel.
I heard of a barrel of laughs, but I didn't know the history behind it.
Racist. Yeah, and that's a lot. And in the kingdom, that's going to be fully restored to Jake. Yeah, laughing barrels and the defiant black laughter. Base history laughing barrel has come to represent right here.
You gotta share the screen.
Yeah, I'm about to do it right now.
Oh, okay.
That's just straight wicked. Can't even laugh around these fools.
Up now. Right here, you hear the black woman laughing, a black ass. Anyway, laughing barrels and the defiant spirit of black laughter. Seems like every year I learn a new factoid about how plantations operated during the time of chattel slavery of African people, Israelite people in Americas. I never came across another unfortunate piece of knowledge that I wish I never had to know. At the same time, I always understand how it is of vital importance that these things are remembered. This week, I learned about laughing barrels. Enslaved Israelites were not allowed to laugh on some plantations. So, in an act of defiance and as a mode of survival, they often stuck their heads into barrels in order to laugh, out of sight and out of earshot of white slavers. Can you imagine that, brother? You walking down the street and you laughing, and you gotta put your head in a trash can or a bin or a barrel to hide from an Edomite. Edomite's gonna fucking pay you, man. You ain't gonna be able to swallow spit in our sight, boy. How about that? Don't even breathe, nigga. How about that?
I have another definition. I have another definition for barrel of laughs.
Hold on, brother. Let me finish this real quick.
Okay, come.
It says they often stuck their heads in barrels in order to laugh out of sight of or earshot of white slavers. This apparently is where we get the term barrel of laughs. After quite a bit of research, I'm still unsure whether or not this is a myth, but I will proceed here with the understanding of laughing barrels as a literal rather than a figurative. And they had it right here, a picture right here, laughing barrel.
Wow.
You know, you got it, brother.
Unbelievable. No, I have another definition to add to that. It says white people, you know, Edomites, they're not white, so-called white. White people viewed slaves laughing as a form of disrespect to them. Some plantation owners had barrels set up on the plantation, and when a slave heard something funny, they would have to run off to one of these barrels in order to laugh. That's
Hey.
wicked. That's wicked, man. You can't even laugh.
Hey, that's probably where you get Jake running around laughing. You know how Jake start laughing and he start around and shit. That's probably where you get that shit from, bro.
It's in the spirit.
Yeah, it's in Jake's spirit to run around when he laughs, though. He can find him better because it always look like you ever see a nigga laugh and run around. It looks like he probably was looking for a barrel, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just you know, I speak as a man, but that's the kind of shit that we had to go through, and that's what happened when. That's what happens when these devils rule over us. They did it in rigor. They did it in wickedness. And what you think gonna happen? It's gonna be quiet in the kingdom of heaven. The only people that's gonna be allowed to laugh and smile and have a good time is the Israelites, man.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You notice how when you walk around Edomites, the first thing they do is smile at you. They always smiling in your face. It's like, why you smile? It's a nervous smile too. They make contact with you like they always want to smile at you. Yeah, you got it, brother.
Yeah, stupid smirk, like the hell.
Yeah. So go through that. You got it, brother.
No, yeah, I was gonna say that precept that the brother GMS Shining Light posted is a good precept. Isaiah 33 and 18. Thine heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Where is the receiver? Where is the counted? Where is he that counted the towers? But yeah, ultimately, like we're going into, man, just like Esau did unto our people, you know, we're gonna do unto these nations, chiefly unto Esau, you know, but all nations are gonna feel, you know, the wrath of the Lord because of what you did unto our people, man. You know, that barrel of laughs, man. Like the hell, they couldn't see Jake happy, so they had to make these, you know, ridiculous laws so that they saw Jake oppressed all the time. Even when they were happy, or like, yeah, the motherfuckers better listen to me. Even though they were having a good time or whatever, just wanted to have a laugh. So you Edomites got a lot to pay for, man. I was thinking in my head while we're reading this, I'm like, yo, these motherfucking Edomites, when at least in my plantation, when we walk around and they see us, man, they better start committing suicide, man. Just silently, just start stabbing themselves or doing something. Fuck
Drop
these
to your
Edomites,
knees
bro.
and say please.
For real. And then whoever's around, whether it be women or children, they better hold their fucking screams or whatever. They just gotta look at their family members, you know, kill themselves, man. Because these fucking Edomites are terrible, man. And like we always say, this is, you know, the few things that the Lord let us see, man. That's why, you know, the scripture says that the Lord's gonna put his anger upon us.
That's right. I had this real quick, brother, right here, then we can wrap it up. I know the brother got to go to work. Just give me a second. I'm trying to, right here. It says racial etiquette. Brother, see this?
No.
Right here, because you need them to have etiquette for us. And you know why you have to have etiquette? Because you ain't in power. You ain't in power, man. It says racial etiquette. The racial customs and rules of racial behavior in Jim Crow era. I just want to skip down to the here it is right here. It says this practice of addressing black women were addressed as auntie or girl under circumstances would be titled Miss or Mrs. It says be applied. A holdover from slavery days was a term wench, a term that showed up in legal writings and depositions in Jim Crow era. Some educated whites referred to black women by the word colored ladies. Sometimes just the word lady was used. White women allowed black servants and acquaintances to call them by their first names, but with the word Miss attached as a modifier. Miss Ann, Miss Julie, Miss Scarlett, for example. The practice of addressing black by word that denoted disrespect or inferiority reduced the black persons to a non-person, especially in newspaper accounts. In reporting incidents involving blacks, the press usually adopted the gender-neutral term Negro, thus designating blacks as a lifeless and unknown person. So, when you think about Negro, that's what that is. You're a lifeless and an unknown person. This is how they treated you, like you were nothing. For example, an accident report might read like this: rescuers discovered that 2 women, 3 men, 4 children, and 5 Negroes were killed by the explosion. In general, blacks and whites could meet and talk on the street. Almost always, however, the rules of racial etiquette required blacks to be agreeable and non-challenging. And that's what you get here. You can't be challenging to Esau even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
What the scriptures teach us to be what
agree with an adversary.
Yeah, to agree with your adversary when you're away with them, the water brother. Even when a white person was mistaken about something, usually it was expected that blacks would step off the sidewalk when meeting whites, or else walk on an outer street side of the walk thereby, giving whites the wall. Under no circumstances could a black person assume an air of equality with whites.
Wow.
That's what's going to happen to you Edomites in the kingdom of heaven. There's nothing about you that's going to be equal to us. Black men were expected to remove their caps and hats when talking to the white person. Those whites, moreover, who associated with blacks in a too friendly or casual manner ran a risk of being called a nigger lover. Blacks and whites were not expected to eat together in public. It's the same shit that happened to us in ancient Egypt. We weren't allowed to eat with them fucking filthy ass Montessorian nights, man. It was illegal for that to happen. It was okay for blacks to enter a restaurant to buy food and take out. And that's where you get takeout food from. Because that shit, that's a lingering over. That's why when we go to these Moabite spots, we can't sit up in there and eat. Well, here, but like you go on the mainland, it's eat and go. I mean, it's grab and go. It ain't no sitting up in there and eating. And you're going to pay for that too. It's in restaurants to buy food, to take out, or to stand at the end of the lunch counter until their order was taken. And why would you even order anything from an Edomite restaurant? They're going to spit in your food anyway. Put boogies in there, semen. And the fucking Moabites got caught doing that shit to our people too. Y'all nations going to fucking pay.
But they're going to pay.
Usually they would then leave and wait outside for their food to be brought to them in some places. Allow blacks to eat in the kitchen. Now, nor were black customers always allowed to use the store implements such as plates and dishes or even boxes. Black customers commonly brought their own tin pails and buckets to be filled.
Damn.
Yeah, and Jake caught nothing but hell, man. We could be here all day going through Jim Crow. But you Edomites, you're gonna pay, and that's why you nations not gonna be able to stand up. Brother asked me to link the post. Salakia, you wanted me to link this? It's a PDF, my brother. So I'm gonna post this up for you right here. The brother shining. It said post the link. What's the link to that? Hope you brothers got it. Got it. So that's all I had, brother. You can close this out.
If I could read this one last precept, we can close it out on this one. This is in the book of Psalms 47 and 1. It says, a psalm for the sons of Korah. Oh, clap your hands, all ye people, shout unto the Most High with the voice of triumph. For the Lord Yahweh by SHAMAYAWAN Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. He shall subdue the people under us and the nations under our feet. He shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob, whom he loveth, Selah. And, like the lesson is going into, the sovereignty is coming for our people, man. And that's going to include, the revenge upon these heathen nations for what they have done unto us, and then ultimately our kingdom, man, which is gonna be an everlasting kingdom in righteousness under Yahweh Shah.
Yeah.
So with that, Akim, oh, you got something to say?
No, I was gonna close it out. You got it.
Oh, okay. So with that, Akim, we hope the lesson was edifying. Again, all praises, honor, and glory going to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem,
Hashem,
Yahushai,
Hashai,
Hashem,
Hashem,
Kakadash.
Rakatadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching truth and for ruling well. And peace salutation to Joachim out there pushing and defending this gospel throughout the four corners of the earth, as well as to the believers in Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, the men as well as the women, the hopeful elect. Hey, shalom till next time.
Shalom till next time, Lord willing.
Shalom, brothers.